Welcome to today's explainer. We're jumping right into a concept we all kind of think we understand, but we rarely actually deconstruct: love. We are going to look at the infinite architecture of love, taking a deeply poetic text and mapping it out as a tangible, structural reality. Okay, let's dive right into this. What is the true architecture of love? I mean, seriously, pause for a second and reflect on your own definition. When you hear the word love, what immediately pops into your head? Is it just some fleeting romance or a temporary feeling? Because we so often define love by what it makes us feel in a specific momentary window of time. But before we reveal how our source text completely redefines all of that, I want you to hold on to that personal definition. We're about to challenge it and show you a framework that elevates love from just a mere feeling to a fundamental law of existence. So, moving into part one, the equations of love. Our author kicks things off by anchoring this massive cosmic idea into deeply personal, profoundly human experiences. Equation 1. Love equals freedom. Simple, right? But actually, it's profoundly deep. We usually associate love with tying the knot, settling down, being attached. But the text completely flips this. True love doesn't confine you. It completely emancipates you. And hey, you literally can't have freedom without choice. Which brings us to equation 2. Love equals free will. This is an absolutely non-negotiable building block in this architecture. You can't be forced into the architecture of love. It's an active, everyday choice that you have to make. Without free will, the whole freedom thing we just talked about, it entirely collapses. All right, so once you've got the freedom to choose, we hit the next block. Love equals growth. Love isn't some finish line you cross or, a trophy you just stick on a shelf and dust off every now and then. It's an active, continuous mechanism. If it is true love, according to our source, it absolutely must compel you to expand. And as you keep moving forward, that continuous growth slams right into our next pillar. Love equals transformation. You literally don't stay the same person you were when you started. The raw materials of who you are get fundamentally altered into something entirely new. But here's the thing. With all that dynamic, almost chaotic energy of constant growth and transformation going on, you desperately need a stabilizing force. And that is, love equals acceptance. Yeah, you're transforming, but you're also wholly accepted in whatever messy stage of the process you currently exist in. It's like a safe harbor right in the middle of a storm of growth. So when you finally lock freedom, free will, growth, transformation, and acceptance all into place, the ultimate payoff is this. Love equals healing. It literally patches the cracks in our personal foundations. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Transitioning from the personal up to the cosmic, we hit part 2, the opposite of ego. The text makes this incredibly bold claim here. Love is an energy, and it's the force of the Creator. It's not just, brain chemistry or butterflies in your stomach. It is a literal, tangible energy. It's the raw power driving existence itself. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate tug-of-war going on in our existence. We have a direct comparison. Love, acting as the force of the Creator, versus the human ego. Where the ego seeks to divide us, to hoard, and to make it all about me, this Creator energy of love does the exact opposite. It is the absolute ultimate antidote to the isolation of the ego. Which naturally takes us to part 3, the eternal glue. So how exactly does this giant universal energy mix with our completely messy, everyday mortal reality? The text isolates this super powerful metaphor, defining love as the glue. I mean, think about how actual glue operates in construction. It takes all these separate, entirely individual, random pieces and just forces them to lock together to create one single, unified structure. Love is defined here as the ultimate unifying mechanism for humanity, completely overriding the separateness that our ego constantly tries to enforce. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how it brings analytical clarity to a deeply spiritual concept by contrasting the temporary with the eternal. Our physical existence is pretty blunt and temporary. People die, relationships fail, but the text draws a stark contrast, the eternal. Love never ends, because it is a spark of the divine. It actually survives the failure of human attempts at connection, and it even bypasses physical death altogether. So why exactly does it never end? Well, because, as we've seen, it's an energy, and Basic Physics 101 tells us energy cannot be destroyed. Plus, it's the force of the Creator, meaning it was here way before us and will outlast us. And finally,
Because it is the spark of the divine. It is literally an immortal element temporarily hanging out and interacting with our mortal lives. So the crucial point is this massive idea: love is all of us. I just want to let this undeniable final statement serve as our crescendo. If love is the glue binding us and the energy of the Creator, we don't just experience it. In our unified state, we actually constitute it. We are it.
Which brings us to one last thought before we wrap up this explainer. If love is indeed that very spark of the divine, and if love is all of us glued together, how does that change the way you see yourself? I want to invite you to take this eternal macro concept and just try applying it to your everyday life, to the way you treat yourself and the way you treat the people around you. Because if you're carrying the spark of the infinite, well, the architecture of your life is truly limitless. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring.